Do you feel like you're eating enough but still have less and less energy? You eat normally, but the tiredness doesn't go away. Your blood pressure is all over the place, and your skin and hair don't quite feel like yours anymore? This might not be about aging, it might be your diet. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because something important is missing. Today we're going to talk about 6 signs that your nutrition isn't helping, and might even be working against you. Most importantly, we'll offer simple steps you can take right now. No strict diets, just a warm conversation and helpful insights, like visiting a kind, caring doctor who takes the time to listen. Let's start with a sign that often goes unnoticed because people think it's just part of getting older, and that's feeling tired even after you've just eaten. You might think, I've had lunch, why do I still feel like lying down? Or, dinner's over, but I'm even more sluggish than before. That kind of fatigue is not always about age, but in many cases, it's about what's on your plate. As we age, our metabolism slows down a bit, our insulin response changes, and our energy levels become more sensitive to how we combine foods. A meal heavy in fast carbohydrates, like white bread, cookies, or sweet tea, gives you a quick burst of energy, but then crashes just as quickly. It's like lighting a match instead of building a steady fire. Without enough protein or healthy fats to balance things out, your body gets a sugar spike, followed by a drop. And that's what leaves you drained, foggy, or even a little irritable. One of my clients, Linda, 68, from Kansas, brought this up in one of our first sessions. She said, "I eat 3 times a day, but I still feel like I need a nap after every meal." She wasn't overeating, and she wasn't skipping meals either. But when we looked closer at her food journal, it became clear. Breakfast was a piece of toast with jam, lunch was often crackers and fruit, and in the afternoon, she'd have tea with cookies. These are all fine on occasion, but they're missing the key component her body needed to stay stable: protein. I asked her to try something simple. In the morning, add a boiled egg or a spoon of nut butter. At lunch, swap the crackers for some cottage cheese or a handful of almonds, and in the afternoon, replace the cookies with a small serving of Greek yogurt and fruit. Within a week, she called me and said, "I feel like my brain turned back on." Her energy smoothed out, her mood was better, and she no longer felt like crashing after meals. What often helps is including a small source of protein in every meal or snack. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. A boiled egg, a few nuts, a piece of cheese, a small portion of chicken or fish, even a scoop of plain yogurt. These foods help your blood sugar rise slowly and stay steady, giving your brain and muscles what they need without that crash. The key is balance. If your meal is all bread or all fruit, it's missing the fuel that sustains you. Your body isn't lazy, it's just asking for the right kind of energy. Think of food like building a fire. Sugar is the paper. It too burns fast. Protein is the log. It keeps the warmth going. And after 60, your fire just needs a little more care to burn steady. You don't need a perfect diet. Just a few thoughtful shifts can change how you feel, not just after meals, but all day long. Another signal your diet may be working against you is something most people don't like to talk about: constipation or general digestive discomfort. It's incredibly common among older adults, and unfortunately, many think it's just something they have to live with. But it's not. In most cases, the problem isn't age, it's lack of fiber, not enough water, and sometimes too few digestive enzymes. As we get older, our gut slows down a bit, and what used to work just fine may start to cause issues. When your meals are low in fiber, especially if you're not eating many vegetables, fruits, or whole grains, your digestion slows down, stool becomes harder, and the whole process gets uncomfortable. And when that happens regularly, it doesn't just affect your gut. It can impact your sleep, your appetite, your mood, even your memory. That heaviness in the body can feel like a heaviness in the mind, too. I remember working with George, a 74-year-old retired postman from Northam, Carolina. He came in complaining of sluggishness, But when I asked more specific questions, it turned out he was only having a bowel movement every 3 or 4 days. He laughed it off at first, saying, "That's just normal for me now." But the more we talked, the more he admitted how uncomfortable he felt. Bloated, low energy, sometimes even nauseated in the morning. His typical meals were toast and coffee in the morning, a sandwich for lunch, and some sort of meat with potatoes for dinner. Not bad, but very low in fiber and fluids. I asked him to try 2 changes for just 1 week. Drink a warm glass of water, first thing in the morning before coffee, and include at least 2 small portions of vegetables a day. He started with a bowl of steamed broccoli at dinner and a few slices of cucumber with lunch. Nothing dramatic. But within a week, he said, "I feel lighter, not just in my stomach, but in my whole body." His digestion improved, but even more than that, his energy and mood did too. What often helps is this. Aim for 2 servings of vegetables a day. That could be a handful of spinach in your omelet, some steamed carrots, or a simple salad. And start your morning with a glass of warm water before anything else. It helps wake up the digestive system gently and encourages natural movement. If you can, add a piece of fruit like a pear or prune during the day. You don't need to become a health nut. Small, steady steps often make the biggest difference. You don't have to accept discomfort as your new normal. Your body is still responsive, still capable of healing, still listening. Think of digestion like traffic. When things flow, everything else moves more smoothly too. You deserve that comfort, not just because it feels better, but because it gives you the freedom to enjoy your day without distraction. And that truly is worth a few veggies. Here's another common sign that your diet might be working against you. When you find yourself constantly craving sweets, bread, or starchy snacks throughout the day, many people assume it's just a bad habit or blame themselves for having no willpower. But I want to be clear, cravings are not a moral failure, and they're not about weakness. They're signals. Usually, they mean your body is missing something it needs most. Often steady energy, fiber, and healthy fat. When your meals are made up mostly of quick sugars like toast with jam or sweet cereal, your blood sugar shoots up fast, and then it crashes. That crash tells your brain, "I need more fuel." And the easiest thing for it to crave is more sugar or more refined carbs. That's why many people feel like they're stuck in a loop, hungry again just an hour or 2 after eating, even if they just had a full plate. Let me tell you about Helen, a 70-year-old retired librarian from Wisconsin. She came to see me because she was frustrated with her constant snacking and said, "Every afternoon I go straight for cookies or bread, and I don't know why." When I asked her about breakfast, she said she usually had a muffin or some toast with jam and a cup of tea. That's where we started. I explained that the body wakes up needing stable fuel, and what she was giving it was more like a matchstick than a log. Together we came up with a breakfast that worked better for her. Oatmeal made with unsweetened almond milk, a sprinkle of cinnamon, a few chopped walnuts, and some apple slices. Within a week, she noticed something surprising. She wasn't thinking about cookies at 3 p.m. anymore. She told me, "It's like my body calmed down." And that was the key. Her body wasn't asking for sugar anymore, because she'd finally given it what it was missing in the first place. Something real and steady to run on. What often helps is making sure your first meal of the day includes both fiber and fat. For example, oatmeal with nuts, a slice of whole grain toast with avocado, or plain yogurt with flax seeds and berries. These foods don't spike your blood sugar. They give it a steady curve. And when your body is steady, your mind is clearer and the cravings start to ease up naturally. You don't have to quit sweets. You just have to stop feeding the roller coaster. Your cravings aren't a failure. They're a flashlight. They shine a light on what your body is really asking for. Think of it like a baby crying. Not because something is wrong with the baby, but because it needs something only you can give. When you respond with the right kind of nourishment, the noise settles, and what's left is calm, steady energy. You deserve that, not just to stop the cravings, but to feel like you're finally back in the driver's seat of your day. Here's something that surprises many older adults. You can be eating regularly, your weight can stay the same, and yet you're still quietly losing muscle. It's one of those things that sneaks up on you. You notice that walking upstairs is harder, or lifting groceries feels heavier than it used to, and you might think, I'm just getting old. But a big part of that change is actually due to what's missing from your diet, not just the passing of time. As we age, our bodies naturally begin to lose muscle mass, a process called sarcopenia, and it happens faster if we're not getting enough protein. The tricky part is that many people over 60 still eat the same way they did for years, only now it's not enough to maintain muscle. Without enough protein, your body starts pulling from its own reserves, your muscles. And even if the scale doesn't move, strength, balance, and energy all take a hit. I remember Tom, a 76-year-old retired high school teacher from Pennsylvania, who came to me because he felt like he was shrinking. He wasn't losing weight on the scale, but he said his pants were looser and his arms looked thinner. He used to be very active, walked every day, did some gardening, but lately he'd been skipping breakfast and eating mostly toast, soup, and small snacks throughout the day. He thought he was eating light and healthy, but when we looked closer, his meals were missing real sources of protein. I suggested he start by adding a hard-boiled egg or a little cottage cheese in the morning and some chicken, beans, or fish at lunch and dinner. He wasn't thrilled at first, said he'd gotten out of the habit of eating much meat, but he agreed to try. A month later, he came back and said, I don't feel like I'm wasting away anymore. He felt steadier on his feet, had more energy, and was even sleeping better. The change didn't come from lifting weights or taking supplements. It came from feeding his muscles what they needed to stay alive. One of the simplest things you can do to support your strength is make sure you're getting at least one serving of protein at every main meal. That might be an egg, a piece of chicken or fish, a scoop of beans, some Greek yogurt, or a few slices of cheese. You don't need to eat a steak every day. Just aim for a little bit of protein throughout the day, and your body will know what to do with it. Think of protein like maintenance for your muscles. It helps them repair, stay strong, and support everything you do. You haven't run out of strength. Your muscles are just waiting to be fed, and they can respond even in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Your body still wants to hold you up. It still wants to move, carry, walk, garden, reach, and live. You just need to give it the building blocks. And that starts not with a gym membership, but with what's on your plate. Even a small change can make a big difference in how you feel. You're not fading. You're just rebuilding, gently, daily, and with care. Let's talk about something that's often misunderstood or even brushed aside: mood swings, irritability, or feeling anxious for no clear reason. It's easy to think this is just part of aging, or to blame it on stress, sleep, or circumstances. But what many people don't realize is that nutrition plays a powerful role in how your brain feels and functions. If your diet is missing certain key nutrients, especially B vitamins, omega-3 fatty acids, and a steady source of energy, your brain can struggle to keep up. It's not about being dramatic or too emotional. It's chemistry. When your blood sugar is swinging up and down, or when your nervous system lacks the building blocks it needs, your mood becomes more vulnerable. You might feel more snappy, more tired, or more restless, even if nothing specific happened. I remember Marcia, a 72-year-old retired nurse from Florida, who came to me because she felt like she had become hard to be around. She told me, I get annoyed with my daughter over little things. I cry at commercials. It's like I don't feel like myself. We went through her routine, and one thing stood out. She was eating very little fat, especially healthy fats. Her meals were mostly toast, crackers, fruit, and salad, No eggs, no fish, no nuts. Somewhere along the way, she'd picked up the idea that fat was bad and cut it out. But fat, especially omega-3 fats, is essential for brain health. I gently explained how these fats support the brain's ability to regulate the mood and handle stress. I encouraged her to add a few simple things: eggs a few times a week, salmon once or twice if she liked it, and a handful of walnuts every day. She also added a vitamin B complex on the advice of her doctor. Within 3 weeks, she said, "I feel more like myself again, calmer, more even." It wasn't magic, it was support. What often helps is making sure your diet includes natural sources of omega-3 and B vitamins. That could be fish like salmon or sardines once or twice a week, a couple of eggs, leafy greens like spinach, and a handful of nuts or seeds daily. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet. Just add a few nourishing things that help your brain feel more supported. And if you ever feel like your emotions are too much, remember, they might just be hungry. Your mood is not just your personality. It's a conversation between your brain and your body. And that conversation can change depending on what fuel you give it. Think of food not just as fuel for your muscles, but as medicine for your mood. When your brain is nourished, your thoughts feel clearer, your patience stretches further, and your heart feels just a little lighter. You deserve that kind of ease. And it may start with what's on your fork. Let's talk about something that might feel small at first, but often signals something deeper. When your skin gets dry, your nails break easily, or your hair feels thinner or duller than it used to. Many people chalk it up to aging, and yes, some changes are part of the natural process. But when these changes come on more quickly or feel more extreme, it could be a sign that your body is missing some key nutrients. The skin is our largest organ, and it often shows signs of internal imbalances. Hair and nails, too, are made from proteins and rely on nutrients, like healthy fats, zinc, and vitamins to grow strong. As we get older, we sometimes unintentionally cut out fats from our diet, maybe out of habit or because we were told it's healthier, but healthy fats are essential, not optional. Without them, our cells dry out, including the ones in your skin. Add in a lack of minerals like zinc, and you get a recipe for brittle nails, dry scalp, and a general feeling of dullness. I remember Edward, 69, a retired plumber from Arizona, who came to me because he felt like he was drying out from the inside. His skin was itchy and flaky, his nails chipped constantly, and his hair just didn't feel the same. When I asked about his meals, he told me he tried to eat clean, mostly boiled chicken, white rice, vegetables, and hardly any oils or fats. He'd grown up being told that fats were dangerous, so he avoided them as much as possible. But by doing that, he was cutting out the very nutrients that his body needed to stay vibrant. I asked him to try something small. Add a spoon of olive oil to his vegetables. Throw some sunflower seeds or chopped walnuts into his salads, and try a zinc supplement with his doctor's okay. He also started eating an avocado once or twice a week. Within a few weeks, he said he noticed his hands weren't as rough, his scalp didn't itch as much, and for the first time in a long time, his nails stopped peeling. What often helps is reintroducing good fats into your meals, a drizzle of olive oil, a handful of nuts, a piece of avocado. If your doctor agrees, a low-dose zinc supplement can also make a big difference. These changes are small, easy, and don't require a complete overhaul. You're not trying to look 20 again. You're helping your body reflect how alive and, well, you truly are. Your appearance after 60 isn't just about genes. It's about nourishment. Think of your skin, hair, and nails as the leaves on a tree. If they're brittle or dry, the solution isn't to polish the leaves, but to water the roots. You are not fading. You're still growing, adapting, and shining. And a little extra care from the inside out can help you feel more like yourself again. You deserve to see that glow when you look in the mirror, not because of vanity, but because it reminds you you're still here. still vibrant, and still worth caring for. If you recognized yourself in even one of these signs, don't panic. Take it as an invitation to care for yourself, not too late, not too early, just the right time. Share in the comments what resonated with you. Maybe you've already started making small changes to how you eat. Tell us. Your story could inspire someone else. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss our next practical, gentle tips. You're not alone. Your body isn't failing you. It's simply asking for support. You deserve to feel alive. And life, it keeps going, especially when you feed it with care.